Hey there, my name is Cameron, also known as Venus Theory, and today I'm here with Loop Masters to show you how to write trailer music using Loopcloud. Trailer music is a whole lot of fun to make, and even if you don't work in the film, game, or sound design industry, I think this is a really useful creative exercise to get over things like beat block, writer's block, or whatever you want to call it. With something like a film trailer, we have a fixed theme and mood that we need to set a piece of music for, and even if we're not syncing it up exactly to the picture, it's a great creative exercise to develop a concise and focused idea that I think is very easy a lot of the times to turn into a full production in just one sitting. A lot of the times when we sit in front of a blank DAW, especially when we've got writer's block, one of the biggest things and most intimidating things that comes to mind is simply, what should I do? What should I write? What should I make? And this removes a lot of those questions because it gives you a fixed vibe and idea and something to visually pull from and reference to start putting your ideas together and develop them. So it's a great way just to get the ball rolling and get something started. With that said, I'm very excited for this one, so let's dive into it and take a look and listen to the final product, and then we'll break down how it was made. Alright, so here we are in the final session, and this is everything that goes into this trailer track. So I like to break down trailer music and a lot of my music into just a couple of folders, and that way things are a bit easier because I have a rough template in a way of just what I need in order to get things started. Before we break things down, if you want to follow this exercise to a T, one of the other things to keep in mind is that you would need a DAW that supports video tracks as well as timecode formats, but again, it really doesn't matter, especially if you're just using this as a creative exercise. You just want some kind of video to work with to reference and just build an idea around that. When it comes to trailer music, the first thing I like to get together is my main theme section, and this is all of the core ideas and stuff that builds the entire track, and then everything else is really just there to enhance it. So if we take a quick listen maybe to more of the middle section of this. The takeaway from this is that what I want in my main theme is all of the core ideas that essentially function on their own as a track. So this is where I want to build up all the important parts, the main melodies and tonal palettes and other ideas that are going to be consistent or at least provide the main body of the track. In the case of this trailer, and since it's a movie trailer, I went into Loopcloud and just looked up cinematic sounds, and I found this dramatic cinema pack, which had a lot of really excellent sounds. So one of the first ones I found was this drum sub filter rise, which is really the main thing throughout this whole trailer. So that sound sounds like this. So this isn't really exciting on its own, but the big thing here is because this was for a horror movie, I just edited together some stock footage because for copyright reasons, obviously we can't use a real movie trailer. Because it's like a horror thing, thriller thing, there's like zombies and scary stuff and freaky clowns and whatnot. I wanted something that felt maybe like a heartbeat, but had a very driving rhythm to build anticipation and tension. One of the next things I found to start enhancing this was in the Dramatic Cinema 2-pack. I found this crunchy bell impact, which was really, really cool. So that provides this big kind of tonal ping, which again builds the suspense. And I'm using this on the downbeats here of the main sections, as well as here at the end, there's kind of the ending part of the theme. So this is really just enhancing the big transition points of the trailer. So we've got it at the start here, and it really underlays nicely with that heartbeat sort of thing. In the big section here, just drops in again and provides that sense of momentum and pacing to everything. Now that I had the core ideas together, the next big thing was adding Brahms or big trailer hits. These are things I'm sure you've heard 1,000 times. So I found hybrid cinematic here and found just a couple of Brahms that I could use to bring out some of the big points in this trailer. So all I really did was drag in a couple Brahms to add some grit and weight. I layered a couple here towards the end just to make them feel even bigger and meaner, and then I used one as a reverse. So I just took that sample and reversed it, cut off the initial transient so we don't get any weird clicks or anything, faded it a little bit, and then brought it in so it rises up into the big Brahm hits. To enhance these as well, I've also added just a little bit of distortion on them and just a touch of reverb. Some of them just felt a little on the dry side, and I wanted them to feel very big. So these Brahms sound like this. Then we've got another one coming here. And that one's almost kind of a combination of a drum hit as well. So when we put these underneath our big ping and our main theme with the drums and heartbeat sort of thing, we've really got the core idea and vibe of the track going. So from here, it's just about enhancing this, like I said. We want to take this stuff and start bringing it to life, because this on its own works. It's a functional piece and it fits the vibe and fills out kind of the trailer, but it doesn't really have that big, cool, super cinematic feel yet. That brings us to the rhythm folder, which I always think is super, super fun, especially here in the main section with the rhythm soloed out. It just sounds super, super cool. And I think the cinematic percussion stuff is always just a ton of fun to work on. So let's break down selecting some of these sounds. Back in the Dramatic Cinema 2-pack here, I just went into the drums folder and searched around for loops and found a couple of different loops that I could combine to create a fuller rhythm section. When it comes to cinematic composition especially, we want lots of different little things happening to build up to something that's greater than the sum of its parts. So instead of having just one big, aggressive drum line, by combining a couple different drum lines as well as a couple different timbres like the stick hits and the big taiko drums and the big subby drums and like some mid-range barking toms, putting that all together with some different rhythms, we get this huge, massive percussive section. And because everything is going to be slightly in and out of time, because a lot of these are human performances, we get this bigger feel to it because all the drum hits don't exactly line up. So we get this kind of flam effect going on across all the drums. So it just sounds absolutely massive. Loopcloud also makes it really easy to audition this stuff. If we have the Loopcloud plugin open in the DAW as we do here in the background, what we can do is grab a couple of different drums things here and just put a couple of loops together, maybe like that, and then we can play this in context in time with our track and hear how these loops stack up. So maybe, this loop just doesn't really work. It feels too busy. We could change it out for another loop and hear that. And once we're happy with it, we can drag all that into the DAW. First up within the Dramatic Cinema 2-pack, I found just a single tom hit, and it sounds like this. So this starts off my drum section. And it's really dry and kind of understated maybe, but it provides a really tight sense of drama to the trailer. So although it maybe sounds a bit lame on its own, once we have it underlaid with the main theme, it does add just a little bit of, aggression and pacing. So now we're starting to feel a little bit more tense, and it starts to set the stage for the bigger drums to come in. breaking down these bigger drums, let's just kind of go one at a time because there's quite a bit going on here. First up from Dramatic Cinema 2, I've got the tom sticks. Not really sounding like much on its own yet. Then I underlaid another set of tom sticks, so again, a similar instrument and timbre, but with a different rhythm, and that sounds like this. And now we're starting to feel something. We have kind of a core idea building, but now we need that big full sound. So I grabbed one of the main tom loops, and if we solo just that one out, it sounds like this. So a different timbre, but it's also reflecting the initial single tom hit we've got going on. So we're kind of building on a theme and enhancing it, and we're using those sticks just to provide a bit of brightness and contrast against these, and that's a big thing to keep in mind. Then I've got another set of toms down here. These are maybe a bit more bright and crispy, but also a little bit deeper. So we're getting just another layer of variety. And we want to make sure that these things play against each other as well. So those other toms are more mid-rangey, these are more subby. So they work well together and they're not overtaking each other in the mix. Another sound I found that I really liked was some tribal toms here from the original Dramatic Cinema pack. I found that all of those drums so far were working, but it needed something a little bit extra, so that brings in these. And those sound much more big and orchestral. So again, a timbral variety, but it adds a little bit of fullness to the whole section. So let's bring in all of these toms at once. And that sounds super, super cool. Let's bring in the original tom here that we had to start things off. That just adds kind of a punctuation to everything. And now, once we bring in those tom sticks, we get this absolutely epic full percussion section. In order to provide that final sense of dramatic, epic trailer awesomeness, I went back to the hybrid cinematic pack here and looked for a couple whoosh bangs, risers, and other little ear candy transitional drum effects that we can use just to fill this thing out a little. So if we unsolo this and solo just those out, I've got just a couple little bits of stuff going on here just to enhance things a little. So here at the beginning, more of a sub hit, and I've got another one here. So all I did was take a couple of drums I liked and filtered them off, so I'm just getting rid of all the high end and we get just this dark tonal-ish impact. So we're setting the stage for the drums to come in, then our toms start there. Then when the main drums come in, I needed to make them feel even bigger and even more epic because they already felt pretty good, but again, you know, we're in this case trying to sell a movie trailer and we want it to be big and exciting. So I've added a couple little bits of candy here. So we've got this big one, really, really loud and aggressive. We've got another one here, a little bit more subby. And I'm just using that to add some punctuation to things. And then here at the end, for even more drama, I've got them layered up together. So that's really all that's going on here. The only other thing I've added was one more loop from the Dramatic Cinema kit, and I found this. Which wasn't necessarily a drum sound, it's more of an effects but percussive sound. So I use that just to provide a little bit more movement and to bring down the tension from those huge drum lines to something that still had some pacing but wasn't as intense because we're starting to close things off here and we want any final stingers to be very impactful. This is a really great idea that I use all the time in my own arrangements and music, and I think is something that can be really helpful, because if we have too many ideas going on at once and we keep them going for too long, then nothing really gets the importance placed on it. Because at the end here, we really want things to hit hard. If we have a bunch of hard-hitting things, then those things don't hit as hard. It's just not possible to have the attention on everything at once. So by providing a sense of building and tension and release, we've got something pretty sparse here at the beginning, starts to build, super epic, pretty epic, but not as epic, and then really, really sparse, but it sounds even bigger because there's nothing competing for the attention at that point. So with that said, once we've got all our drums rocking and rolling here, sounds pretty cool. Let's bring in the main theme. We're gonna release the tension now. Steal some pacing. Big impact. And stinger. But you see how dramatic and huge that felt because there's nothing in the way of it. So it's a really important idea that I think makes for much more effective pieces of music. With all this stuff done and out of the way, we've got pretty much a completed idea, and it's starting to sound really, really good, but it needs that little bit of Hollywood fairy dust and just cool little bits of exciting stuff going on. And that is where the effects and transitions come in. So I've got lots of interesting stuff here. Lots of cool textures. Big metal hits. We've got this huge rise. Little combinations and layers of things. Pretty cool. Leads us out. Big rise, bass drop. And this is the stuff I find that really sells an idea. For these transitions and other effects, I went through quite a few sample packs and found a couple here. Analog Cinema had a couple really good sounds. I've got the Dark Cinematic Orchestra kits here that provides a couple of other things, and that was really where I built all of these little transitional effects from. So we've got a lot of different stuff here. We've got this like clock riser, which is a combination of a riser and an impact. Sounds pretty cool, you know, nice deep subby tone. We've got some whooshes here that have some really interesting texture and movement to them. We've got another one right here. That one is just a impact that I reversed. We've also got a metallic scrape here. Really creepy. Over here as well, I've got the Dramatic Cinema tom. I took one of those tom hits that we used to punctuate everything here, just time stretched it a bit and reversed it. Which sounds really, really cool and intimidating. We've got some from Dramatic Cinema 2 here. We've got another whoosh hit. Has a cool metal feel. This granular rumble one is really interesting. And the main thing I was looking for here to fill this out was just a lot of stuff that fit the theme. In this case, we've got, if we roll back to the beginning here, they're going to like an abandoned building or something, so it's probably old and rusty, it's probably big and empty, so we want things that feel like the environment. We want things that are creepy, we want metal, we want rusty, we want big, empty, powerful impacts and transitions, we want big, powerful sub-hits and lots of little things like that. So anything we can do to enhance things based on this visual theme is going to help sell the idea. With all those effects out of the way, I really needed one extra sound that was just a bit different, and I had a little bit of trouble finding things from the traditional cinematic packs, and that is where this sound came in. Really big, big, powerful thing. And really cuts through the mix, but it was from a bit of a surprising place. Within Loopcloud, I found Drums of the Wildlands, which has a lot of really cool stuff that's really epic sounding, but it was maybe kind of more orchestral percussion and stuff, but I found this Power Smash impact, which just absolutely sold this whole idea, and it really punches through these drums, because with the music and stuff, like you heard, it's incredibly, incredibly dense, but just take a listen to how that one sound just overlays everything beautifully without really getting in the way. And that sounds huge. So with that, once we bring in all of these other elements with the music and all that stuff, this is what really transforms it from an idea into a completed piece. Now we've got this huge layered transition coming. We've got a couple to drive us out here. One more big riser. Creepy clown guy. Boom. End of trailer, and that is how easy it can be to do this kind of stuff with Loopcloud and really, really quickly build an idea. And that wraps everything up for this one. Like I said, this is a really, really great creative exercise, and even if your goal isn't to create a piece of trailer music like this, it is a really great way to overcome writer's block by taking your favorite movie trailers, video game trailers, music videos, or anything else that just has some cool, stylized footage to pull from and start writing a score for in order to fit that piece of media that can really, like I said, keep you on task and on target and give you something to work against, even if you have absolutely no ideas. It just gives you a frame of reference and something to start creating from. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. And of course, I hope this inspires you to get out there and make something awesome. For more information on Loopcloud or to try it for yourself today, you can head over to loopcloud.com.